Okay, so we're here to learn how to make a wool fabric sunflower. We're going to use punch needle and a proddy technique. So in your kit, I'm just going to introduce you to what you'll be getting. So you'll get this small gripper frame. What is this, 6-inch?
Yeah.
We have traced a little pattern for you, so you're going to punch this inner area. We've serged it along the sides here and glued it. We're going to leave the ends on just in case it gets loose. That'll help you pull it, so you're going to trim it later. So that's your first piece. You'll get the instructions. Then you'll get 4 types of wool yarn and a couple of wool fabric worms to punch with. You'll get all of your pre-cut petals. You'll get a wool backing that you're going to sew on, and then some stuffing with cedar and wool fiber bits. We like to use the cedar because it's practical, it smells nice, it deters bugs, and then you can add some essential oil to it and store it with your wool stash. On your end, to complete this kit, you'll need to own a number 10 regular punch needle. You'll need to have your own scissors to poke the ends through and to trim the fabric. If you have really good fabric scissors, that's a bonus. You will need some kind of a hook to pull the proddy petals through. You can use a crochet hook. I'm using a rug hooking hook. Some people prefer to pull them through. I mean, if you have a proddy tool, perfect. I don't have one, but I do have needle nose pliers. They come in handy for pulling the loops through and for attaching your wire. You'll also need a darning needle. So that's a needle with a nice big opening and a dull end. It's used for darning socks. You want that because you want to use a nice thick cotton embroidery thread to attach the backing. So you'll be on your own with the darning needle and the thread. If you feel like getting a little fancy and changing your height, you could use a number 8 Oxford punch needle, a number 14 fine, and a number 8 fine, but that's your discretion. You'll also need to provide your own stem. We didn't want to ship these really long things that would add a lot to your shipping costs, so you can just use a stick from your yard. This is a tobacco slat that's been sliced a little smaller, and then you want to drill some holes near the top, about 2.5 inches apart. Are you ready?
Go.
So we start with your number 10 punch needle. Grab one of your wool fabric worms. You get 3 of them. They're quite long. So you just take the end, thread it through the eye of the punch needle. Slide it into the opening of the shaft here, and then you want to pull back and forth until it's nesting right in the center. Leave about a 1-inch tail here and leave this loose trailing behind you. So for those of you that haven't punched before, we're going to start right on the outer line, the outer circle, go all the way down, lift up so it's just skimming the surface, and go all the way down again. Glide down, over, down, up, skim the surface, and if you look closely at my stitches. They're about 2 holes apart. You're always moving in the direction of the shaft opening with your tail nice and loose behind you. So again, up, glide 2 holes, all the way down, glide up, don't lift, just skim the surface of the linen. Alright, so in punch needle, we're working on the back. This over here is the front. I like to push all the loose ends through and keep my working area clean so I can see what I'm doing. You just use your scissors, the point of your scissors, and push that little end through. And then when we're all done, we'll go to the front and we'll clean up all these and trim them. So now we're going to use the orange yarn. And again, you thread the yarn through the top of the punch needle, slide along the shaft opening, make sure it gets right into that round hole in the center, and leave a little tail. So you can go pretty close to the next row. Again, you push it straight down. It's pretty much parallel. Lift it up, glide over. And again, you're going to go all the way around with that orange. Okay, so now I've added the thick brown. I'm going to go just inside this orange and do a few rows. So now we're going to get a little tricky. We've been punching from back to the front. I want to create some depth, so this time we're going to do counter punch from the front to the back. So that way you'll see a little difference in the height. So here I am on the front side with this variegated yarn. And I'm going to punch a few rows in the counter punch. A little tricky again. I've doubled this really thin brown. Again, I want to have a bit of texture. So I'm going to feed the looped end through the hole. Again, line it up in the shaft, and we're back to punching from the back. It's going to feel weird because there's all these big loops here. And just get as close as you can. And this time we're only punching 1 row. Okay, now we're back to the thick brown, and we're going to finish up that whole center area. Just swirl around in a spiral. I just want to clean up the front by trimming off all these ends. You just pull them straight up and trim them flush with the loops. And then you can save them because you're going to be stuffing the inside of your flower with wool and cedar shavings anyway. Oh, there's one more. Okay, so now we get to start adding the petals. So I fold them so that one end is about 1/4 of an inch longer than the other. You're going to be bringing this folded part from one side through to the other. So we want the petal to appear on this side. So we hold it here. We stick our hook through and make a nice big hole. Maybe I'll mark all the petal hole spots for you. You can use a pen or just use your hook, but you want a nice big hole like that. And then your hook is looking for that loop of the petal, the fold of the petal. You're going to pull it through to this side. Bring it up taller than you need it. We want a nice big opening there because you're going to be putting your wire through later. So we can align these and make them nice and pretty later. For now, we just want a nice big loop. Around. So fold your 2 petals in half. Set them on the front side, right along the inner part of the sunflower. Make a great big opening with a pen or a crochet hook or a rug hook, whatever you have. I've got a coarse bent rug hook. Grab the fold. Oops. Pull it through and make sure you have a nice wide opening. And we're going to continue all the way around. So say you trip and it doesn't come all the way through nicely like these. This is where your pliers come in. You just give it a little pull and then adjust your loops. Right? That's how they do it with the proddy tool. They go through with the pliers and then pull. Okay, so they're all through now. Don't worry that they're all bunchy on this side. That'll change. What we want is to make sure the loop's nice and open. And then we take our wire and we feed it through 1/2, one loop at a time, all the way around 1/2, and then the second wire all the way around the other half. Okay, that was my least favorite part. So we've got one wire going through 14 and another wire going through 14. So now you can take your piece out of the hoop. And we should trim it before we attach it to the stick. So you'll see we've serged a line, and just past the serging there's some glue. So you're going to want to cut it just on the outside of the glue. It's a fabric glue to prevent the linen from fraying. So hopefully you've got some good fabric scissors. Don't cut your petals off. Okay, so there we go. Now our stick's got these holes drilled in it, so I'm just going to hold it here in my knees. And put 2 wires through the top and wrap around. And 2 wires through the bottom, from the inside to the outside. And again, just wrap them around the stem. There we go. Now you want to just kind of rest it on your knee, grab your back. We've drawn an outline with the marker to show you where to stitch. So you want your marker side out because you're going to be doing a blind stitch. So we want to hide this knot and start just to the right or just to the top of your stick here. So you'll be folding this under towards the line and this one under towards the line. So if you can see that, I'm just going to fold as I go. So I have my thread knotted on the inside, and a ladder stitch is also called an invisible stitch because you don't want to see it. So I'm going to go straight across like the rungs of a ladder, and then up about a half an inch, or I'm sorry, quarter of an inch, pull through, and then again cross to that fold, glide up about a quarter of an inch, and see how those, when I pull tight, those stitches disappear. So across to the fold, up a quarter of an inch, pull, cross to the fold, up a quarter of an inch, and as you go you're going to have to keep hand folding around the circle. And like I said, we've drawn those guidelines on so you know where to do it. Okay, so I've stitched about 3/4 of the way around, left an opening to put in the filler. So in your kit you've got a mixture of wool bits and cedar shavings. So you're just going to stuff that full and come back. Okay, so I've filled it up, made a bit of a mess. Now I'm going to tuck this in, fold the linen side over, fold this over, continue with the blind stitch right up until this side of the post, and then I'll tie it around. Just didn't tie it all the way to the base, so now I can fluff it and shape it a little bit. Make the back nice and round. Make the petals look a bit more natural. Shake that stuffing out. And you can even move these to where you like them. There you go. Wool fabric sunflower. Bye-bye.